Welcome back to JBSports. I'm your host, John the Bird, and today we are going to get into some NFL things, mostly the Dolphins signing a new quarterback, not new backup, because I'm guessing he's going to start unless Skylar Thompson plays. We're going to get into two quarterbacks that started off rough in their careers and I think have finally found their home. And we're going to talk about the Commanders, like always, because I always have something to say about them. But first, Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa did suffer a concussion. So he is going to be out for the near future. He has been placed on IR for the Dolphins. So he's going to be out for a while, especially with his third concussion. It's I'm not an expert, but it's probably not the best one. So when he was gone, they signed quarterback Tyler Huntley off of the Baltimore Ravens practice squad. Uh, I think that's an okay pickup. I didn't think they were gonna sign him. I thought they were gonna sign Ryan Tannehill, as I said on my last episode, because I just thought he was maybe like just a better fit because he knew the organization a little well. He knew the place better. So I didn't think they would sign anyone really but him, but you know, it's okay. So he'll be all right for them. I don't know if he'll beat out Skylar Thompson for the starting job, but we'll see. They also signed tackle Jackson Carman to the practice squad and released Robbie Chosen from the practice squad. So that is rough for him, but most important thing is signing another quarterback, Tyler Huntley, to be on the team. Next two things I want to get into, they're one thing, but there's two different people involved. So in 2018, there was two quarterbacks chose in the first three picks. Two quarterbacks, Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, not in order how they were chosen. I just said where they were. But Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, both quarterbacks, picked to some team that needed quarterbacks badly. You had Baker Mayfield go to the Cleveland Browns, and you had Sam Darnold go to the Jets. With those teams, you could definitely see there were struggles there. Both quarterbacks weren't fully living up to what they were supposed to be so far in their career. Sam Darnold definitely had a worse time for the Jets, I think, than Baker had for the Browns because they both had a year where they were pretty good. You know, Baker brought the Browns to the playoffs one year, and then I think Sam Darnold did pretty good for the Jets one year. I don't remember if they made the playoffs, but I don't believe they did. But they both had one pretty good year, and the rest weren't that good. So they both got shipped off, and eventually both went to the Panthers together, where Baker didn't even finish a whole year. He went to the Rams, and Sam stayed. And then the next year, well, at the end of that year, you know, Baker Mayfield was signed to the Rams, finished his year there, and then got signed to the Tampa Bay Bucks the next year. And then Sam Darnold, the next year for him, he was a backup for the 49ers. But when they both played, they looked pretty good for both teams. So you kind of saw that, maybe there's some hope for them. Baker, you saw some more time from, so you knew it was helping him out. But Sam Darnold, the few times he played for the 49ers, he looked pretty good. So, Baker gets his extension. Baker is now a Buck for like a few years, and Sam Darnold got signed to the Vikings. The thing that's most important, though, is even though they started their careers off bad, they both kind of found their home. Baker has definitely. You can see Baker, he torched the Commanders in the beginning of this year. We were terrible against him, and they just beat the Lions. Like, that's pretty good. And the Vikings, you can't say they're a slouch either. Yes, they did beat the Panthers first week. I mean, everybody really should realistically beat the Panthers. But they just beat the 49ers. Like, you can say there's some injuries there, but still, even without CMC in that situation, they were pretty freaking good, the 49ers. And if, Justin Jefferson didn't get hurt earlier in the game, midway through, the game could have been even better for the Vikings and for Sam Darnold, who has been doing amazing. So with these two quarterbacks, like I said earlier in their careers, they struggled, but they're finally starting to find their little pace. Sam Darnold with the Vikings, it's starting to be good for him. And you could say that, the 49ers didn't have all the weapons. Well, the Vikings didn't have all the weapons. Jordan Addison's hurt because a hip drop tackle, which, got the person fined, but it is what it is. But he's hurt, so he wasn't there to help the Vikings. Then, Justin Jefferson got hurt midway through the game. So at the end of it, he didn't even have his first two weapons, and Sam Darnold still did pretty good. So it's looking like these two quarterbacks, Baker and Sam Darnold, have found their respective spots for them to work in the Vikings and Tampa Bay Bucks. So it's looking pretty good for them. We'll see if Sam Darnold continues to play well. That's the one that's more like you're hyper focused on to see if it's not just like a 2 game fluke for him. It's not just like a small thing. And Baker's looking good. He did pretty good last year. He won them a playoff game against the Eagles. Did pretty good against, what was it though? Was it Rams or Lions? Whatever game it was last year. They did pretty good. No, it was against the Lions. He did good against the Lions last year in the playoffs. They were close to winning. So the Tampa Bay Bucks aren't no slouches, and Baker has been playing very, very well for them. And then Sam Darnold, like I said, we'll figure out if it's a 2 game thing or he has found his little home, which would kind of suck for JJ McCarthy if Sam Darnold turns out to be really good for the Vikings. But he'll probably get a shot eventually either. I mean, you never know what's going to happen with that. Sam Darnold could be bad in a week or two, but I think he's kind of found his spot where he's starting to gel a little bit with his team. So next on, we are going to talk about the Commanders against the Giants. We won, surprisingly. Austin Seibert, new freaking legend for the Commanders, 7 for 7 on field goals. To be fair, he probably should be kicking that many field goals, but at least it means we got a scoring drive 7 times. So that's the kind of upside to it. And we have a consistent kicker. We haven't had that consistent of kicking in so long. We've had Joey, Sly, Cade York, who missed 2, which kind of, we could have been close in the game against the Buccaneers, and he just sucked and missed 2 field goals, and he was terrible. And then you had, Austin Seibert, who was signed, hasn't played a year or something like that, come in, hit 7 for 7. So he's a legend. Give him $20 million. Don't actually, but give him money, let him stay. We'll see if it's a thing that can stay on. Because if he can stay consistent for us, that would be amazing. We would love that because we need consistent kickers because we haven't had one in so long. Joey Sly could hit some kicks. He could boot it, but he wasn't consistent. Good luck, Patriots. But it was great to see the win. Some of the things I want to talk about is our secondary. Not good. Malik Neighbors went crazy on us. I thought we weren't going to have to worry about him as much because I thought he was going to be a little hurt, but he went crazy. Fortunately for us, he dropped that, pass at the 4th and 3, which led to us winning because if they scored a touchdown there, our offense hadn't scored a touchdown all game. We didn't score a touchdown all game. We probably would have lost. So Malik Neighbors drops the ball, thankfully for us, and we do bring it down the field for a touchdown, which I will say, Jane Daniels, 23 for 29, 226 yards passing, and a completion rating of 79.3%, which is pretty good. You had one bad stat was he was sacked 5 times. Our offensive line is back to last year's form where he doesn't have time. I do think that he should be passing maybe some farther distances. His average was a 7.8, which it's not crazy. It's not like a bad number, but I want to see some more big passes. I would consider he's only thrown 2 deep balls, and it was against the Bucks, I believe. He threw both of them, and they both were incomplete because one he overthrew and one it got out of their hands or something like that. So I do think Jane Daniels should make him throw a little further, test his limits, you know. We got to see how far he can sling it. I mean, I know he can sling it far. We just need to get that accuracy on point and get Terry McLaurin the ball. You know what I mean? Terry McLaurin, we haven't really got any of our wide receivers the ball, but Terry McLaurin can be a top 10 wide receiver in the league, maybe top 5 if you just give him the ball. Cliff Kingsbury literally said that he realizes he hasn't got Terry the ball enough and he needs to give him the ball. You know, like Terry is so good. I stress this so much, and he just passing the ball. He can do so much. Top 10 wide receiver in the league if he gets the ball. A lot of people saying he's washed. You can't say he's washed yet. You know why? Because he hasn't had a single stable quarterback his whole career. He's scored. He's had 1,000 yards receiving every single year, but his rookie year, and he had 940 yards that year, and he hasn't had like a really good quarterback. So you can't even say he's washed yet because he's just like he's in his prime. Like Terry's gonna be really good once him and Jane Daniels start clicking. I really believe that. Noah Brown had a really good catch over the middle later in the game. That was really nice. He's doing pretty good for us. I hope him and Jane Daniels start to get some chemistry, which, you know, if he does do really well with Jane Daniels, that might move Luke McCaffrey to the third spot, which honestly, it's not a bad trio. I like it. I still like the sound of Terry, John Dotson, and Noah Brown or Luke McCaffrey, but we signed Noah Brown because we traded, you know, Jahan Dotson, so you don't know what would have happened there. But I like the Jahan Dotson, Luke McCaffrey, the 2 and 3 a little better, but it's okay. So you can. He hasn't done too much for the Eagles yet, I don't think, so we don't really have to worry about it yet. We just have to worry when he starts to do good, which I don't know if he will. So Luke McCaffrey didn't really do too much. I'm gonna be honest. This last 2 games, like he's gotten yards, like passing yards, but I don't think the wide receivers have done anything too crazy. So I want to see Jane Daniels pass it deeper. A lot of his touchdown passes, which he doesn't have one yet, but a lot of the times he could have got one there stopped like just short of the end zone, so we run it in. So he hasn't got any touchdown passes yet, but he does have running touchdowns, which he's been doing pretty good on. So you can't hate on him for that. And then I want to talk about someone who did really good for us against the Giants. B-Rob, Brian Robinson, had his highest yards total for his career, 133 yards. He had a 7.8 average, 17 carries against the Giants. No touchdowns, but he was really running the rock. I mean, Brian Robinson, he was going fast. He was getting himself through the holes. He was doing very good for us. I love Brian Robinson. I thought he was a great pickup when we got him. Unfortunately, he got, you know, shot in the leg a few times, but came back to 50 cents many men, you know, came back, and he's been pretty much a beast. He's been very good for us. I like him. Him and Austin Eckler have proved to be a really good combo. You know, Austin Eckler with that crazy run where he just trucked someone in midair basically and just landed on his feet while the other two were on their backs. So, you know, that combination has been really good for us. I really like it. And one thing I'll go back to with Jaden Daniels, I know Brian Robinson, great game. He'll never hear that, but great game. But back to kind of the O-line, Jane Daniels talk, 5 sacks, which is not good at all. Like I said, they're going to last season for him. I do think our line's better. I think they need to start clicking. The problem is we really only have 2 good linemen, Nick Allegretti and Sam Cosmi, which 2 out of 5 linemen aren't going to make a great line. You know, Brandon Coleman, I think he can be good, but he was definitely a project pick. So he's not going to be as good as the other linemen in the league. I mean, he did get, I think, hurt during the game. So he did go to the bench, and I think Cornelius Lucas stepped up for him. But I really wish that we'd have a better line. Hopefully we can get some better linemen either in the draft or we sign them. Or one of our linemen just becomes good magically. Not going to happen though. So our line situation needs to get better, but even that can not be worse than our defensive back room. Like I said, gave up so many passes to Malik Neighbors. We need to work on that. Mike Davis did not play better than Emmanuel Forbes like I thought he would be. Mike Davis played pretty bad. Gave up multiple, you know, passes to Malik Neighbors very easily. So it's rough to see that. And with the Bengals game, who we play next, not only do we have to go battle against one of the best wide receivers in the league, Jamar Chase, 7-11, always open. But T. Higgins could be playing, which is even scarier because now, you could double team Jamar Chase if you didn't have T. Higgins there to kind of slow him down because Benjamin St-Juste, he's good, but I don't know how much he can slow him down. 2 years ago, he did pretty good against Justin Jefferson, but that's 2 years ago. So we'll see. I hope we can slow him down somewhat, but with T. Higgins, if he plays, it's going to be bad because you know, you have Benjamin St-Juste on Jamar Chase, which, I don't know how that's going to go. But then you have a backup, either Noah Igbinoghene or Mike Davis on T. Higgins. And T. Higgins is a pretty good wide receiver. He is no slouch whatsoever. So that's going to be a tough duo. And, usually Joe Burrow kind of goes crazy on us. Joe Burrow is going to be, hopefully, I'd love to see Joe Burrow do great, except against our team. Like, I feel like any quarterbacks that have struggles, like Daniel Jones, he hasn't been the best quarterback, but anytime he plays us, he plays crazy. He had 2 touchdowns against us because our defensive backs are terrible. But any quarterback who is ever having like a struggle, for some reason when they play us, they go crazy. And it's annoying, but Joe Burrow can really maybe light it up this week against us on Monday and kind of hurt us a lot. And that would suck. And I believe it could happen if our cornerbacks don't play well. But we did sign a cornerback, Kevon Seymour, to our practice squad. He might get, moved up. I don't know if he will. He is a former Ravens cornerback. He has played for the Bills, Panthers, Eagles, and then the last 3 seasons with the Ravens. He has had 67 tackles in his career, 63 combined, 16 assisted. He's played in 64 games. He started in 7, which is a little concerning, but half our players haven't even started. Not really, but you know what I mean. They're not good enough to be starters right now. 8 passes deflected, 1 sack. So he doesn't look the best, but you never know. Maybe he could go crazy. I said that for Mike Davis, but he didn't go well. So if he does come up and play for our squad, hopefully he can play well. I would love to see that, but our cornerback room is just looking bad, Mike Sancho has been pretty good, though, I will say. So that's really good for us, for him at least. But he hasn't been great. I've already talked about Emmanuel Forbes. I'm not going to talk about him this episode just because I talk about him way too much. You guys have seen it. I talk way too much trash on him. So we're not going to talk about him. But we're going to go a little bit into the quarterback rookies starting for the NFL. My boy, Washington Commander, Jaden Daniels, who's played pretty solid in my opinion. We had a tough first game, but that wasn't fully on him. Our defense has been terrible. In the second game, he did pretty good. Waiting for that passing touchdown. Hasn't come yet, but he has had some rushing touchdowns. We had Bo Nix, who's had a rough first 2 weeks, He's done okay, but there's a lot of interception problems he's had, and he's just not led his team too well. And then the bright spot, Caleb Williams, has had a rough first 2 weeks. He beat the Titans, not really him who beat him, but it was the defense. The Bears defense has been pretty amazing. But the second game, Bears defense still played actually pretty good, but the offense couldn't get anything going. Caleb Williams did not have a passing touchdown either games against Houston or Tennessee. His stats for the Houston Texans was 23 completions on 37 attempts, a 74 yards, which was better than his first games, almost double the yards. He had a 62.2% passer rating, 4.7 average, which isn't the best. He had 2 interceptions. I'll finish the stats and I'll talk about it. 27 is his longest pass, 7 sacks on him, which is one thing we have to get on. And I'm going to be honest, the second game and first game, his protection has been pretty bad. I mean, the Tennessee Titans only got 2 sacks on the first game compared to the Texans 7. Texans do have a crazy defensive line. I don't care what anyone says. I think their defensive line is really good. Hunter, Will Anderson, defensive rookie of the year. Like, they have a really good line. And the O-line did do terrible. So Caleb, while some of the things he did do stupid last game weren't all his fault, I do think both of his interceptions, one of them I think was kind of okay that he threw it. The other one, though, he threw it into like triple traffic, which I think you could have just thrown it out at that point. I mean, I don't know what he saw, but from what a fan could see, I guess, I thought it would have been better if he just threw it out. And his offensive line is just not doing him justice. Like, most of these things that he's throwing interceptions on, he hasn't had time to throw it specifically, so it's not fully his fault. But he still has to take some fault for it, as, his line is taking some of it because they just haven't been protecting him at all. So 9 sacks in the first 2 games on him isn't that good. It's getting already to like Sam Howell numbers. So it was bad. Not that all of the, games his offensive line are going to be that bad, but it's something you should be worried about, because Eberflus said that he wasn't going to change anything to the offensive line, which in my opinion is stupid since they just gave up 7 sacks. Like, you think they're 7 sacks given up, you're going to change something, but no. So it sucks for Caleb Williams, and I do think some of the stuff he's having troubles on aren't his fault because he's not getting helped in any way. Keenan Allen was out with a heel injury. Keenan Allen was trying to help him. DJ Moore was trying to help him. And 2 of those passes, some of the touchdown passes have been dropped, and, it's the wide receiver's fault. I think Rome Odunze dropped one, and I think first games, I think he dropped one too. But it's just been kind of rough passing for all rookie quarterbacks, like touchdown-wise. I don't think any of them have thrown a touchdown pass since the start of the season. Like, no one has. I think it's pretty much empty. So it's been a rough start for the rookies, but I think this week will be a turning point. I mean, Bears against the Colts, Commanders against the Bengals, which I am a little bit scared about just because you don't know. And then Denver versus Tampa Bay, I think that's going to be kind of a rough game for Bo Nix just because the Tampa Bay Bucks have a pretty good defense. So hopefully he does okay there. Last thing I want to talk about is going into the WNBA, actually, which I think everyone will probably know who I'm going to talk about. Caitlin Clark, the most relevant WNBA player, most relevant women's player, in my opinion. You can talk about whoever you want, but in my opinion. So this is some of her records and stats this season. So Caitlin Clark this season, which is on the Fever's X page. I almost said Twitter, X page. It is league leader in assists per game, league leader in 3 points, first in points per game by a rookie, first in field goal makes by a rookie, first in assists per game by a rookie, first in steals per game by a rookie, third in rebounds by a rookie, fourth in blocks per game by a rookie. First rookie was the triple-double, broke single season assist record, broke single game assist record, most points by a rookie ever, most assists by a rookie ever, most 3 points by a rookie ever, and most All-Star game fan votes ever. So Caitlin Clark has had a monster first season, starting 1-8 to being in the playoffs. I believe they are 6 in the WNBA playoffs. I think she's very talented and actually fun to watch. So catch a Fever game in the playoffs if you can. A lot of people are saying they're going to win the championship. I don't know if they'll do that yet. I mean, their team has clicked a lot more after, the break for them. So we'll see how it goes for them. Aces could go for the third win in a row, but third chip in a row. But I'd love to see the Fever do it the first year she's there, just to back how Caitlin Clark is the best women's basketball player, in my opinion. There are really good ones like Aja Wilson, I believe is her name. She could be the best, but I do think Caitlin Clark is the best and best rookie. So can't argue with that. She should win Rookie of the Year. But that's going to be all for today. This is JB Sports with Jonathan Burton. Have a great weekend, and thank you for watching. Bye.